there's not much ambient noise, and we can always edit it in post.
True. Well, yeah.
All right. Here we are.
I mean,
it's always the hardest part to start these
Yeah.
things, you know? I guess I can start it. I still really don't know what this is, but okay. So, welcome everyone to the first episode of the podcast with no name. I think we're kind of on is it the Calibrated Podcast, or do you want to calibrate
something? Yeah, I think we're still working on the name because I mean we're not even sure if it's like already taken.
Right,
it's like already another podcast already, but yeah.
So welcome to the Calibrated Something Podcast. Might just end up being the Calibrated Podcast, but for now, we're calling it the Calibrated Something Podcast. Mm-hmm. I am Ani. I don't know if we're going to go by handles. Should we go by handles or should we just go by name?
I think it should go by name for
right,
now.
So
and we'll just post our handles.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. We'll probably plug it at the end. Okay, so I'm Ani.
And I'm Matt.
This is Matt. How are you today, sir?
I am tired.
As if we didn't spend the entire day together
at
this point. And this is essentially a lifting podcast that we hope to, I don't know, blossom into something pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And we're both collegiate powerlifters. Both been powerlifting, you'd say like a year pretty much, essentially?
I mean, for me, like seriously powerlifting, where it's actually I got coaching, it's been like a year now.
Yeah.
For many years, I've been just mostly lifting for like general health and wellness, not really like actually powerlifting, but actual powerlifting coaching and taking it seriously. Yeah, for about a year.
Yeah. So I'm pretty much the same. Actually, I've only had a coach for about half a year, but like I sort of transitioned into powerlifting only, or more specific training in the last year. So I would say we've both been powerlifting for about a year. Mm-hmm. We're both on the Texas State powerlifting team. Eat 'em up cats represent, and that comes with its own challenges of being a college student and being a powerlifter with actual goals and trying to go somewhere. So we'll probably explore that concept a lot in this podcast or show or whatever this becomes. But in this episode, we're going to keep it probably a little bit low key and just kind of talk about ourselves. So, Matt, why don't you just give your whole origin story? Unless you have anything else you want to say.
I think we could start off with our origin story. I think, I mean, for me personally, I really didn't. Whenever I started, it was mostly health and wellness. I wasn't really like powerlifting training at all. When I started lifting, it was mostly just to lose weight. I was a bigger person back in middle school, I think. Yeah, I think it was I was a bigger person from like elementary till almost like I think 6th or 7th grade. And then eventually I was like, I think it's time to lose weight. Well, I think it was mostly my dad was actually losing weight in the first place because he was told by his doctor to lose weight. So he would ask me to tag along with him. Maybe I should take it as, hey, you're fat, come with me, rather than be like, hey, I'm going to the gym, you want to come with? It started off with that. It was mostly just general health and wellness. I would go to the gym with him. And honestly, I didn't know what to do. Like, I didn't know. I was just there, and I would mostly just run on the treadmill or walk on it. And like I would be walking and going to the gym like in like school clothes because I just didn't know what to wear. I didn't know. I was a kid now. I was just like, all right, I guess I'll go. Like I remember one time I went every now and then I would run in like cargo shorts, and I'm like, what the fuck am I running in? I would run in like cargo shorts and like basketball shoes because that's what I had because I would play basketball, but like I'll be like, if I play basketball in them, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's good for running too. It was worse. It was the worst.
Fashionista.
I really thought I was doing something, and I was like, no. But from there, I just did it mostly just for health and wellness. I would do weights every now and then. I really just didn't know what to do. I didn't know what sets and reps were really. So I would just do it like, oh, maybe like I'll do these like 12 times and then do it for like what 3 more times or something. Um, so I didn't really have a program. I didn't have anything really. And then that would go on for about like 5, 6-ish more years. I mean,
Wow.
from middle school all the way to now, I'll probably say like a little bit. What's today? What is it? 2022. So I'll probably say like that went on from like middle school to all the way to like 2019, 2020.
Were you consistent the whole time, just going, or were you kind of like some days you would be really good about it, and some weeks you would just be like, yeah, I'm gonna play video games.
I was actually, it was kind of funny because I was like, my dad didn't think I would be very consistent with it. He thought I was like, just to lose weight, whatever, and then he would think I would have off on it. But I consistently went because, I mean, when you reach an age, you kind of like become a little bit more self-conscious about your, body, and that was what happened in middle school. So I would think, oh, if I lose weight, I'm going to look better. But
Right.
I reached the point where I went underweight. That's how bad it was.
Wow.
Because all I would eat was like, I would focus on more of the weight rather than trying to gain the muscle.
Right.
So I would go way underweight of my height, and I was like, I would think like, oh, I must look good, and my parents, even my dad was like, okay, you're going a little bit overboard.
You look emaciated.
So I was like, you
look like you came out.
Yeah, you're skinny, but like that's not good.
Yeah.
But
so why don't you tell us like, okay, so when you started, how big were you, and then what was like your lowest when you realized, man, I did too much.
I think like, well, at the height I was at, I think I was like, right now I'm 5'9", and I think at the time I was like about like 5 foot, like I would probably say like 5'2" or 4. Mm-hmm. And the weight I was at was like at at the time it was like 160 or like 168 or 170.
It's pretty big for like a 7th grader.
But like, yeah, like I was big. I mean, when I think about it now, like, well, right now I weigh like 198 or 196. I mean, yeah, like that's a little bit big, but like that's because I gained a little bit more muscle now compared to that, and was just mostly fat. So, but what happened was, like I said, I cared more about the weight. So I thought, oh, if I lose a lot of weight, I'll be good. I didn't think about like the whole factors of, well, I ate the whole day, so maybe I weigh that much that day, or think about how much water weight it is. I just thought about, oh, if I cut weight,
Right.
I'll look good. So I went from like 170 to like 130, 35.
Wow.
And that was like
40. God damn.
Mm-hmm. And it was like consistently like going to the gym, trying to lose weight as much as I can, hop on the scale, look at it, okay, keep going at it. And I'm like, and I was just like, I didn't think to myself about the whole like nutrition, like keep your, keep track of your macros, keep track of, making sure you're getting enough protein and, implementing weightlifting to, gain more muscle. I just thought about weight, like, okay, I'm just trying to cut weight. So eventually I reached all the way down to like 135, and that's whenever my parents were like, you need to like gain weight back. Like that's I know we wanted you to lose weight, but like that's a little bit too far.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's when that happened. But right now, after keeping track of macros somewhat, making sure I get enough protein and everything. Right now I'm sitting at 198. So I think I'm comfortable right now. I mean, I would like to lose a little bit more weight, I would like to tone out a little bit more, but mostly like maintain my weight. So like how, who Coach Greg is, right?
Of course.
Like gaining. That's really what I would like to do, is lose fat slowly, but maintain my weight while keeping or gaining more muscle in the long run. So that is my main goal. But yeah, what about you?
Okay, well, so very similar in our origin stories in terms of getting in, but mine. I'm not gonna go all the way back because I was very inconsistent. Like I went to the gym in high school sometimes, and my friends like got really jacked, but I didn't go enough, and I didn't care about my nutrition. So it's like not even worth talking about. Where my like lifting origins really begin is in 2017. I was at work. I worked for Domino's at the time, and there was a guy who I had worked with who was really into like fitness influencer stuff. Like he, we were in Austin, so he knew like he was a fan of Nick Bare, for instance. I don't know if you know Bare.
Yeah.
Obviously, Bare Performance Nutrition. They're based in Round Rock, which is like 40 minutes from Austin. It's it's actually kind of like in the opposite direction, but like same distance for San Marcos is. Anyway, so he was in there. He was doing supplements. He did the Christian Guzman Summer Shredding Challenge one time. This guy was kind of old. He's like 38, but he was into these guys. And, I had seen him slowly lose weight. He was kind of like a dad bod DYEL type. And I don't mean to insult him because I love the man so much, but he wasn't like jacked. He wasn't like a bodybuilder type, but he was into these guys and he was doing the protein shakes. He actually owned his own supplement company for half a second. Anyway, this guy and I worked morning shifts together every single week when I was doing Domino's full time and during the summer. So, obviously you get to know the people you work with, and I started talking to him about this, and he introduced me to a couple of people to watch. Now, I'm like a very cautious person. So, like, I kind of have to, and this is something I actually don't like about myself, but like I want a decent base of information before I start down something, right? I like to be able to see the end before I begin, which is not good. You should take a leap of faith. However, this was the case. So even though it was summer 2017 and he was introducing me to these fitness influencers, I didn't actually start lifting weights for real until probably about October, November. So I had a couple of influencers and people who made YouTube videos who I really connected with. Also, the YouTube recommended page, also like as I was starting to get into more fitness content, recommended me some guys. I liked their personalities, thought their videos were good. So I started following them. And I mean, I was pretty big. I'm pretty big now, but like, if you could imagine it, I was actually even bigger than this before. So I have a picture on the scale of the scale of the heaviest I ever weighed. It was 274.4 pounds. I was probably sitting at a cool 45% body fat, just obese as hell, almost pre-diabetic. I wasn't pre-diabetic. I was on the cusp of becoming pre-diabetic, but it's still pretty bad. So anyway, I finally, go into the gym. It was like a confidence thing. When you're a big guy, even though, it's kind of silly, but like when you're a big guy, like, especially doing something for the first time in the gym, like a physical activity, it can be kind of like, a little anxiety provoking, let's say. So I was kind of nervous, but I decided to do it just because, all the content I was consuming, this guy at the gym was also, losing weight as well, or not at the gym, but at my work, but who introduced me to all these guys. And, I was just kind of in that space at this point. So I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. So I joined like a small, like little tiny Anytime Fitness. It was like, it was almost like about twice the size of this room that we're in. For the whole gym, You think of Corrupted, it was kind of like that.
Okay.
So it was not big at all. And, it wasn't like Corrupted with all the nice equipment. It was like a bunch of machines, like 7 treadmills, and like dumbbells that only went up to 65. And then like a Smith and a cable crossover, and that was kind of it. But I joined the gym and kind of haven't looked back since, essentially. And then just upgraded as I went. And as I went. And, my story about, like, losing weight, which is something that I went into the gym to go for, or essentially, like, why I went to the gym in the first place was to lose weight. It's been very complicated. So I lost weight. I did lose. I went, in 2018, I went from 275 about I would say like 230.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but I was kind of like, I lost a bunch of it at first.
Mm-hmm.
So like by summertime, I was 240, for instance. So first 6 months, I lost 30 pounds. And then when I got to 240, it was kind of like, you know, the motivation had kind of run its course, and I was kind of burnt out. So also I was going on vacation, and I discovered that like when I go on vacation and when things start to get out of my control, like I can't count macros and weigh my food, like I kind of like flounder, and I start to like relapse, I guess you could call it. I don't know if you call it like that, but you know, I would start making really bad food choices. I would be eating like an asshole. I would
Basically
just be,
falling into like cravings, yeah.
exactly. So I'd be like shoveling ice cream down my throat and eating like 50 pieces of pizza. Anyway, so this resulted in like a bunch of up and down, you know, the yo-yo effect. So I would get down and then I would come back up. So that's why from summer until like December of that 2018, I only lost like 10 pounds. All right. Then I hired somebody. I hired a guy on YouTube that I really, really liked. And I really respected at the time, right? At the time. I just want to make sure that that's the point, because I don't respect him anymore. However, at the time, I really respected this guy. I hired him to help me because he had also lost a bunch of weight. And he helped me get down to my lowest ever, which was 207. So essentially, I lost 70 pounds, right? Then that relationship ended. It was partly because I couldn't really afford to pay him, and it was mostly because I had thought I could do it on my own, and I didn't need him, right? So it's like, why am I paying this guy if I don't feel like I need him? This is the ego talking. I should not have listened to myself during that time, but I did, and ever since then, it's been a slow increase back up to where I am right now, which is 265 pounds. So I'm still 10 pounds in the hole, but not really. If you're curious why I think the reason for that is because during my time with this guy, and one of the reasons I've come to not really enjoy him anymore, is because the way that he had me lose weight was really, really, I would say, like militaristic, essentially. So it was forced discipline for sure. So I had to check in with him every single day. Like in the beginning, I had to send him pictures of my food. Like that's how on top of me this guy was. Also, I was eating very little. I was routinely eating sub 2,000 calories every single day as a 200-something pound guy who lifts weights like 4 times per week, right? At least. So and also like it was because it was like over the internet as well. It was like he couldn't be on my ass all the time. So like there were times where I would binge. Like I would never have a fully good week, right? So there was never a week of time in which every single day I was on point. I was hitting my macros every single day. I would have like 5 days in a row, 6 days in a row, but there was always at least one day where I would go off plan. I would go off track, and yeah, I feel like he didn't teach me how to not do that, which I think would have been very, very key to my success. Is if he helped me like, and I think like there's really, I don't know if he could have even done anything about it, but the way that he handled it was to be like, you fucked up, like you suck, essentially.
I mean, it'd be better off if it would be like, you know, oh, you went off track a little bit. Okay, like no worries, we can always get back on track.
Yeah, like, but he didn't. Like I said, it was very militaristic. It was like. It was almost like a drill sergeant. And you can't argue with the results, right? I mean, I went from 230 to 207. I did it in 6 months, though, so keep that in mind. It's not phenomenal progress, especially for a guy my size and my body fat percentage. But it was the lowest that I had ever gotten to. So I'm not saying that style doesn't work. It's just obviously what happens when you stop. You get back. You don't learn anything, and you get back to where you are right now, which is still fat. So that has always been like something that I'm struggling with, even now since I've been on the team. Like as long as we've known each other, Matt,
Mm-hmm.
I have been trying to lose weight.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I have lost nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still something that I struggle with all the time, and it's more complicated than some people make it seem.
Mm-hmm.
At least like there's a saying that I really like about weight loss, and that it's like it's simple, but it's not easy. Because thermodynamics is king, but that doesn't mean that it's easy.
Yeah,
to lose weight.
it is hard. I mean,
Especially when you've been obese. I've been overweight since I was like 11, and I've been obese since I was like 15. So, and I'm 25. So, I mean, it's been a long time of like these habits that I've just been ingraining myself in, and
I think it's just like when it comes to weight loss, it's hard when you have a certain habit since you've been growing up. Like for me, like since I have was a kid, like I was a big eater. I would eat a lot, and it felt like nothing was enough. Like I would eat so much where it's like I had to have the feeling of being full.
Yeah.
Like it was never like the points where it's like if I feel satisfied, didn't matter. I still needed to feel that fullness.
Right.
That's why I appreciate I appreciate nowadays where people come up with better ideas now with food, like being like, you don't have to be like, oh, the typical chicken, broccoli, rice.
Right.
Now more people are creative with their options. Like, why don't you just eat more volume that has less calories? And I'm like, I actually didn't think about that,
Yeah.
Actually start thinking about like, well, why don't I start doing that? I remember I did that for my last competition back in November, and it helped a lot because I was able to drop down from like that was for water cut, but like be at a certain weight level where I can do a proper water cut to maintain 188. So it was nice being like, oh, I could just eat all this stuff and not having to worry about like, oh, well, I'm not going to be full. I'm not going to be satisfied. I'm going to be hangry because I couldn't eat those things. And it's hard. Yeah, it is hard, especially when you build these habits. So, I mean, it was especially hard for me when back in December of 2021 is whenever I had COVID. And it was like whenever it was Christmas time.
Yeah.
The day before Christmas, I did not feel that great. Something was off. You could tell something's off if you ever had COVID. Like, I knew something was wrong because anytime I would get up, I feel wobbly, like I feel weird. And I was like, at the night before Christmas, I laid down, and throughout the night, I could not sleep.
Right.
And that fucked me up so hard. Like the next day, I was like, no, I can't go. I can't do anything.
Right.
And, the thing was, with this meet coming up I have this weekend at the Strength Classic, originally I was going to compete in the 74. Because I was on track the whole time. I was at 192 in December, and I was like, okay, I'm on track to lose enough to like 175 so I can do a water cut. Boom, I'm already ready to go to compete in 74. As soon as COVID happened, of course, nutrition was out of the water because at the end of the day, I was stuck in my room. I couldn't go anywhere because my parents were afraid of me spreading it to them, which is understandable.
Right.
And not only that, also to make sure everyone else outside of that is safe too. Like I couldn't go see my girlfriend. So all I could eat is whatever they handed me.
Right.
And yeah, it was good food because it was Christmas. It was Christmas time. It was the holidays. But I was like, well, I got to eat that because there's nothing else I can eat. And I feel bad if I try to go outside my room and try to get something. And I would feel bad if I went and try to pick up something from a store when I'm sick. I don't want to spread it to someone else. Especially how I felt. I was like, oh, I don't want anyone to like deal with what I have to deal with.
Yeah.
So it was hard. Like as soon as that happened, I think I went back to square one and jumped up back to 198, and I was like, by the time it was already like I got over COVID, it was like mid-January or end of January, and I was like, yeah, there's no way I can drop all the way to 74. So I decided to jump up to 90, to the 90 kg. I was like, I'd rather it to be like, because the original plan was to qualify for nationals, but then I thought to myself, what would be the point to just qualify for nationals? Because with going through the suffering of cutting weight, like what would be the point? You might as well just have fun with it. So.
Yeah. Plus, it's an 8-week turnaround, right? I mean, like, that's a quick prep.
Yeah, it's a quick prep. I'm already, like, at the end of January, mid-January, and have, like, 8 weeks left or even less to cut all the way from 198 to 165? There would be no way.
Yeah.
I would have to, like, starve myself. So I was like, there's no way. So that's what I decided to do. So in general, like, weight, when it comes down to, like, food, I mean, it's hard. It's hard to like maintain that, especially if you're just trying to be like right on track. And as soon as something goes off, it's like habit.
All right.
I mean, for me too, like I would have habit. I was like, well, I have food at home, but then again, like I could get something real quick because I'm tired. I don't really want to.
Exactly. That gets me every single time. Is like, especially because like I'm not a morning person, but all my I have classes in the morning every single day, so I have to get up early, and like the urge to just throw it and just like order food is always very high. And I think one thing that I found over the years is that there really isn't anything. There's you can't trick yourself. It comes down to discipline at the end of the day, and like there's no way that you can get around that. Like for me, I discussed this like elsewhere, but like. You good?
Yeah, no, I'm good.
I discussed this elsewhere, but like there was a lot of times where I felt like it shouldn't be hard, right? It should be easy because of X reason. Well, I'm so big, so I should be able to do this very easily, and I've got all this muscle, so everything should be, it should be simple. I should be able to cut on X amount of calories or blah blah. But at the end of the day, it's like, it's cutting weight. Like, it's never going to be easy. Your body doesn't want to do it. Your brain doesn't want to do it. Nobody ever wants to cut. We cut so we can bulk. And, like, so just accepting that reality and just being like, it's going to be hard. And just let it be hard and just do it. Because it's like what you need to do for your health. And also because you wanted to since you were a kid. So, I mean, like, shit.
I mean, yeah, it's like, I mean, when people say like they want to lose weight like now, and you ask them like how much you want to lose, and they'll be like, I want to lose like 30 pounds and like.
Doing back there. Do you know how long that is?
I think that was like 30 minutes already.
Okay, we can.
Or like 25 minutes.
How long do you want these to be?
I mean, continuing on from what were you saying again?
I was saying that it's like almost physically impossible to lose that much weight.
Yeah, like once you have starting from where we stopped, the video stopped, but starting from like trying to go immediately from like 30 pounds, drop 30 pounds in 2 weeks, it was just kind of like, that's not healthy for one, and two, that's not going to be physically like good for you. Mentally and emotionally, like that's not going to be good for you. Like you're basically saying like, I'm not going to eat anything.
Yeah.
If I do, it's going to be like one thing throughout the whole week, or like one thing every day, and it's just like, what's the point? Like, there's no reason to rush unless you're like an MMA fighter and you got to cut weight. Like, I mean, because of course. MMA fighters, they have that mental strength to do so.
They water cut.
They water cut like heavily.
Yeah.
To the point where it's like they're like skin and bones. I'm like, what the fuck? But
even strongman too. Like I know a strongman who said that he water cut 35 pounds. 35 in a week. Imagine water cutting that much.
You know what's funny? Actually, when I did my mock meet this past fall, I remember watching a video about water cut. Yeah, it was like the more extreme water cut, because I think like it's normal. The first few days through the week, you drink like 1 or 2 gallons of water. I think you had to drink 1.5 gallon Sunday, 2 gallons Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I think, or Thursday. No, Wednesday, because technically for him, he was doing the water cut based off of like the USPA like meets. You know how they have like 24-hour weigh-ins.
Must be nice.
And then the next day you can take the whole time to recomp before you do. So that's what he was basing it off of. But like I think Thursday or Wednesday, it was one of those days where you cut out all your carbs, and then one day where you cut out all your sodium. I tell you, that week I felt like shit. I was like, I think Wednesday or Thursday, when I couldn't eat carbs or salt or have any sodium, like.
What did you even eat?
Man, I ate rice. No,
I
couldn't eat rice. I had unseasoned ground turkey.
Oh my god!
And it was not the fat one. It was like 93%.
Right.
It was 99% lean, and it was dry as fuck.
Yeah.
And it was bad. So you could just see me just sadly eating like a bowl of just fucking dry ass ground turkey, trying to see satisfy myself. So that was like the day, 2 days before, I think. And then Thursday, it's like I think you cut out everything because technically Friday was the day you weighed in. But Thursday, it was when I couldn't eat anything. And I was on the Calgary barbell program, and apparently like the taper week, you did a few exercises and such. I went to my gym during that time before I came here to do my mock meet at Strength Build. When I did my exercises when I was back at home, I did not want to be there. Like that's how bad I felt. And I was like, fuck, how do people do this? Like you had to be mentally strong if you were trying to cut weight. But of course, I wasn't trying to cut that much weight. Like I was just trying to cut like 10 pounds.
Right.
The guy that I was watching, he based it off of like, you're trying to do extreme cut, like you said, 35 pounds in 1 week. So I was like, what the fuck? And then, because I thought this was what you were supposed to do. I didn't know.
Right.
So when I did it, I was like, fuck. Man, I had like deadlifts. I think I had squat deadlift, or it was like SBD. And I remember I can remember it to this day, is when I did deadlift. And I only had 315. It was like the hardest set I could have ever done. Like the reps and sets, it was terrible. I could not do it at all. 315 to me was not bad at that time. But when I had to cut, I don't know how I went through it. So
how much weight did you end up losing at the end of that? Do you know?
I think I lost but that's because I technically didn't follow through the whole thing because I couldn't mentally do it. But when I did it, I think I lost 10 pounds.
Okay.
But that was me, that's what water cut, extreme water cutting, to the point where I think I lost those 10 pounds so quickly, my body did not like it. And that's why it was hey man, you need to eat something. So I think not even the day before the mock meet, I think I started just eating, I think Thursday, the day I was supposed to not have anything. I was like, fuck this, I can't do this. It's a mock meet, whatever.
Yeah, I know.
And then next thing you know, later on when I do my water cut for the rookie meet at Strength Build in November, I watched Tim Thibodeau's water cutting video, and it was so simple. It was just just drink water until I think Thursday, and then Friday, the day before the meet, you drink 1 gallon, and you just eat you eat very little, but at least you could keep the macros the same throughout the whole week compared to. Yeah, once you reach Thursday, you can't eat anything. Also, Wednesday, you couldn't have any carbs. You cut out carbs. And then the next day, you cut out sodium. Okay, now have fun and cut. But I mean, yeah, if you have if your mental strength is strong, yeah, for sure. If you're doing it for like a MMA meet, I mean, yeah, you're kind of like you already have that mental strength, so I can't blame you. But if you're just a powerlifter, I don't recommend that for anyone. Like, what's the point of you going from like trying to drop 35 pounds to go from what, like for example, 90 kg to what, 74 in 1 week? For what?
I mean,
You're not only that, it's like your numbers are going to go down for sure, especially if you've been lifting in the 90 kg weight class, because that's what your weight was at currently. Yeah, your numbers are going to go down. You're trying to jump from 198 to 165 in 1 week just to compete in the 75 kg. Yeah, that's not going to go well.
Yeah.
So I don't know how some people would do it, but
it's like those strong men are built different, bro.
Oh god, I'm not strong, man.
Those guys go from 258 to making the 220s, and then they go back up to 258 in like a day. That's, think about like how many like gallons of Gatorade that you'd have to consume in order to get back up to 258 in 1 day. But yeah, we get 3 hour weigh-ins. So. I don't know how much longer you want to go for this, but
I think we can save it. I think we can end it here because it's kind of like we kind of talked about a lot actually, more than I thought.
Did you want to talk about how we joined powerlifting? I feel like we haven't talked about how we started, like when to start powerlifting and how to join the team.
Okay.
But if you don't want to talk about that, we say that for a different time. We most certainly can. It's not a big deal.
I think we can talk about that next time, especially when like it'll start off with something new, because I think we do have a lot to talk about, especially with like joining the team and everything and how we got to know each other.
Right. Okay.
But yeah.
So, do we want to close it then?
Yeah, we can close it now.
Okay. Well, this has... I'm going to close it. Do you want to close it?
You close it, yeah.
I'll close it. Fuck it. Let's go ahead. Okay, so this has been the inaugural episode of Calibrated something.
Hopefully it's not like already taken.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Might just take it anyway and, just become the most popular thing named Calibrated, and then they'll have no choice but to give it to us. Once again, I'm Ani. This is Matt. You want to plug your social, I guess? I don't really know how we're supposed to end this. But,
I mean, if you want to keep up to date as far as like how our lifting is going and how everything is progress, for me it's Villeamm or Villeamm. That's how I would pronounce it. So it's Villeamm. And then for yours,
mine is Sabertooth with an X _. These are our Instagrams, by the way. I wanted to make sure that. So it's SXBERTOOTH _ on Instagram and on other platforms. I don't know if we're plugging those as well. I do have a YouTube page, but
I mean, they're gonna already watch it off of ours, so.
So okay, yeah. So follow us on Instagram. You want to check out something that Matt has done? If you could follow the Texas State Powerlifting Instagram as well. All the sick edits in the last year have been from him. Just to get a look at his pedigree. And thank you guys for listening to us. And
we'll see y'all next time.
Yeah, see you next time. Or hear us next time.
Hear us next time. I don't know what the fuck. I don't know. We'll see.